Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today is a review on the Yamaha MG124CX mixing board. This is a 12-channel mixer from Yamaha. I picked this up a while back from Long McQuaid in North Bay for 175 bucks on clearance. And it was already a used mixer, but you couldn't tell. It looked brand spanking new. Now it's full of dust and hey, it's used. Either way, they wanted 300 originally, and it went on clearance for 175, and I thought, you know what? I do need another mixer, and I had some options to explore, which I did, and it was actually cheaper to create a sub-mixer out of this and go into my other mixer. And they're both Yamahas, and they're both the exact same dimensions, and there's not much difference between them. There's a few things different, only because my MW12CX has USB output. This one does not have USB, so no USB on the 124CX. If you want to know everything about this mixer, click on the link below in the description box, and it'll get you to a download for the manual for this mixing board. And then you can read all about it. So I'm going to try and keep this review brief and run through some of the stuff. So you've got 12 channels, right? Well, your first 4 are independents, and they're mainly mic channels, okay, is what they're more used for than anything. They have compressors, high-pass filters, and of course, channels 1 through 8 have gain controls, and all of them have high-pass filters, so you can, change the dynamics of any kind of hiss and stuff. The compressor adds more punch, output, and dynamics to your sound. It really does make a huge difference, and in fact, what I'm going to also say for the record, I have 2 amplifiers, my Katana 100 and my Cube Roland 60 COSM, hooked into 2 mic channels, using the compressors both at half, and of course you don't need the high pass filters for guitar amps because they won't have any noticeable sound difference. You only notice that sound difference through a microphone. So but anyways, both of my amplifiers also have line out capabilities, so I can go line out direct, and of course with the Katana amp I leave it in standby mode. This way my speaker is not being used in the amp. With my Cube 60, although it has a line out, the speaker is still on. So to get around that, I got one of these dummy loaders, which actually it's not just a dummy, it's actually active in a sense. It's for reducing from 1/4 to 1/8 inch. Put one of those in the headphone jack of the amp, and it shut off the speaker, but it still allows the line out to work. And then this way I get a pure signal through, and I don't have the interference of sound from amplifiers going into my microphone while I'm trying to play a tune and sing for you guys. Anyways, so that's a little bit how that works. You have monitor out jacks. Okay, this is controlled from a monitor dial. Okay, which generally you would use this in a closed sound booth. Okay, and when I mean closed, I mean if you have monitors in your sound booth, the people on stage aren't going to hear what you're hearing through your monitors. It's very important for a sound technician to be able to hear what's really going on so they can set the mix properly. And there's only 2 ways to achieve that. Closed sound booth with monitor speakers, or the ultimate is to plug in some headphones into the board and listen to what's going on so you can adjust and balance out all the singers and instrument players, okay, that are all using microphone or plug-in source into the board, okay? Anyways, so you've got that. Your main house out is controlled by your stereo out slider, and of course you also have XLR out for house, so you have 2 options. You either go from the 1/4 inch jacks, which I would recommend TRS to XLR on your monitor speakers, so you get the purest, cleanest signal. If you're running amplified speakers especially, you're going to want that XLR connection for proper output and sound clarity. Or you can go XLR to XLR into your powered speakers. Now I'm running powered Yorkville YSM 8 speakers. They're a little overkill for the size of this room, and but I like to go big or go home. That's my thing. And so anyways, you have record out jacks, 1/4 inch as well as RCA out. That is for going record out to your recording device. Because this mixing board does not have USB, you're not going to connect this thing directly to a computer. You would have to use a recording device such as a recordable CD or a cassette player, okay? and then you can record your stuff that way. However, there is a turnaround for this that because it's the modern age here as well at the same time, and we need to put everything into our computers, these mixing boards are 16-bit audio out. I am running a Steinberg UR22 Mark II 24-bit HD USB audio interface that has two inputs that are both not only TRS ability, but also XLR. They're dual jack ports. And I could go TR to TR if I wanted, but TRS is the best balanced and most powerful signal anyway, and cleanest, so just go TRS. So on my main mixer, I'm actually going through the monitor outs, and I'm going TRS plugs to TRS input 1/4-inch jacks. I could go TRS to XLR, but TRS and XLR are exactly the same, so you don't lose anything. So you're all good to go. 16 onboard effects on this board as well. You've got a foot switch, which plug for that, so you can control the effects. So you can turn this effects on and off by a foot switch. So depending on the situation you're in, depends on whether or not you need that foot switch. Okay, but you have the ability. Effects send and return. This is for extra effects racks, or what I've done before is hooked up my entire pile of guitar pedals at one point to the send and return, and that actually worked pretty awesome too. It allowed me to do a whole lot of stuff I couldn't do before otherwise. You have one auxiliary port on this thing, okay, to go to one aux on stage speaker, but you can connect two monitor speakers on stage into each other through one aux port, and that actually works too, and you can balance things out. It's kind of fun. You have fader controls for every channel. You have effects for every channel. I'm still trying to figure out what the pre is for. I still have to go through the monitor manual myself on both boards, but I don't actually need the pre. It is part of the auxiliary, and because I'm not using the aux channel, I don't have to actually worry about it. Channels 1 to 8 all have bass, mid, and treble control, where channels 9, 10, 11, and 12 only give you high and low or bass and treble, but they do have auxiliaries nonetheless, as well as effects and left and right control. Now PFL, I'm going to explain a little bit about PFL really quick. That's something where you're going to set up a microphone, okay? So you turn the PFL on, and then you get somebody to sing as loud as they normally would, okay? And then you adjust the gain control so that their signal is not pushing much past 0. In fact, 0 is the best spot. And then if it does breach a little bit here and there into, like, say, +3, that's okay. As long as you stay out of red, and as long as you're not clipping your peak. You start clipping your peak, you got to back off your gain a bit, okay? And that's the tricky part with compressors. If you're going to use the compressor adds a little bit of extra boost, okay, as well as dynamic tone changing. So you're going to want to figure out where you're going to want your compressor at. I find, for me, the compressors for myself on my mics are best set up at around 2 o'clock on the dial, okay? And that's actually the best setting. On my guitar amps, I use them at 12 o'clock, and that's the best, and I have absolutely 0 clipping from the board, and I have no clipping into my USB audio interface box. So anyways, so just because it has no USB output does not mean you cannot hook it into a computer. You absolutely can with a USB interface box, and I would definitely recommend it if you want top-notch quality recordings, because most mixing boards are 16-bit audio, and the Steinberg UR22 Mark K2 box will take that 16-bit audio and convert it to 24-bit HD, so it'll really enhance the quality of your sound dramatically, so that's really awesome. There is separate headphone control out via monitor headphone dial here on this board. My other board has separate monitor out, separate headphone out dial. This is kind of like a dual thing, and you control things via switch. You also have an effect amount, auxiliary send amount, your stereo amount, as well as your main aux return, phantom 48 power. So if you need 48 volt power for mics that have to use phantom power, it does have 48 volt phantom power that you can just activate if you need it. So, and it makes absolutely no effect over mics that don't use phantom power. So, but if it's on, it's on. And like I said, if you have a non-phantom mic, makes no difference. Sorry about the dinging. I should have actually shut Facebook off, but it's just a little ding here and there. Anyway, so that's the basics. So for more information on this board, feel free to download the manual. Links in the video description for that. Star rating for you people who like it. I would definitely give this thing an easy 4.5 out of 5. I think it really deserves it. The price was really awesome. I really enjoyed the price. Of course, I did get a warranty with it too, which was good, you know, and that was awesome. The board itself has more than enough features, and it solved my problems, okay, for me. Okay, like I said, I've got 2 boards on the go. This is now my sub mixer. This is my main. My sub goes into one dual channel onto my main, and I can do whatever I want now. Plug in all the stuff I'll ever need and then some, and I'm set to rock and roll for years to come. This was also the cheapest solution for me too. I had considered a 24 channel board and even a 16. But the cost amount to just buy a brand new, even 16 or 24 channel board was just ridiculous, okay? It's like I already have a 12, you know, like, so I just add to this board. And it works great, and it's taken me about a week and a half, I guess. I finally got my mix set back up because I'm splitting the mix now between the boards. So I got mics on this side, amps on this side, my Beat Buddy is on that side, and I finally got the mix balanced out the other day, and I was like, yes! So now I don't have to touch any of my dials anymore. Now, where, I just want to mention one other thing. Where it comes in handy to use the foot switch control for turning the effects on and off, if you are on stage running this board yourself, okay, you're not dealing with a sound booth or anything, and when I mean on stage, I don't mean like necessarily in a venue like a bar or a church, and you know you're doing a concert thing for the church, whatever. You don't want to use their stuff, you want to use your own, or even out in the open public. The foot switch is handy to have right in front of your mic, so that you can turn on and off the effects, so that if you want to talk to people, you can talk to them without that echo or having to screw with the dial. Because once you mess with your dial settings and you have that mix proper on the dial setting, once you mess with it, it throws everything off in your mix. So to avoid that, you have the foot switch there so that you can control it from your mic. Now, if you have a sound guy, he doesn't need a foot switch. He just has to turn this off, and then when you're going to start singing and playing again, he turns it back on, and your vocal effects are all back on. And you adjust your vocal effect, reverb, or echo for each singer. And the lead singer would get actually the most. And I want to give you an example of that too before we go, to give you an idea how things go. Because if you go and you listen to my last couple of videos, every one of those videos has the same amount of reverb effect, which is going to surprise the daylights out of you once you hear this compared to listening to those videos of what you would actually hear, or we'll say not hear. So this is the normal amount of reverb or echo that I would have going on when I'm recording my songs. So it sounds quite a bit, like a lot, but you will not actually hear this amount of echo in the song. It's neat how things blend together. So now I've turned off that echo, and this is what we get. This is why singers shouldn't have a dry signal, because they sound horrible. And this is how they sound better. Now when I record in here, my speakers are not turned on. I have headphones on my head, because otherwise it would be horrible. But anyways, there you go. So that's what I got for you. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do the very best I can to answer them. But otherwise, if you want to know everything about this Yamaha MG124CX mixing board, go to the link in the description. You can download the manual. You can study about the mixer. Now, you can't buy this mixer brand new anymore. You'd be getting it on the used market, either at a music store that may have one used, where they sell new and used equipment. Could be at a pawn shop. You come across this mixing board. Doesn't matter either way. But be aware though, when you're into cheaper mixing boards, whether it has a USB function or not, cheaper boards, the USB output, if you're going to go for one with a USB output, does not have a lot of USB input part into the computer without cranking the crap out of the level, and then you're going to end up having to still edit and you're going to cause problems. So my recommendation for anybody who is hooking a mixing board of any kind direct to a computer would be to actually get yourself a USB audio interface that has two inputs for a left and right ability, where you can adjust the gains independently, and you can run full stereo straight in to your computer, and which also gives you even more ability on top of that to do other stuff to really enhance your mixes. So it is really actually important to have two input channels into your USB audio interface, and those interfaces have their own gains which give you extra gain power above what the mixer can even give you through even using the monitor out or house channels, okay, for your output source. Because like I said, you won't be using your record out. You could use the record out, okay, I did try it, but you still don't get enough of the record out properly. But what also happens when you are going through a record out on these cheaper mixers, though in your headphones or your main monitor speakers you will actually hear that these sound effects and stuff that are set up, when you record it, your singers all go from "this is wonderful" when it's being sung with instruments to "this is death, this is dry, there's no effect here, what happened?" For some reason, I don't know what it is or why. Yamaha couldn't even answer that question. Why was I not getting my echo or reverb through my microphones going through the record out channel? Because I thought the idea of record out was whatever I'm driving in goes out. Well, when it came to my instruments, because they already had effects of their own going into the board, and that would go out, that would be fine. But a microphone, for some reason, and using the onboard effects here, when you're using record out, doesn't matter which bus you're using, okay, when you're going record out, the effects from the onboard stuff, even if you went through an effects rack through and ran it through, would not go through my recording. The only way it goes through my recording is when I go from my house outs, okay, into my USB interface. That is the only way, because the house outs or monitor outs, okay, either one you can use, what you hear is what you get, right? So it goes right into the USB box that way through monitor out or stereo outs or house outs, okay? But with the record outs, for some reason, everything gets pushed dried unless it's an instrument that's already pre-affected at its end. But your microphones, no echo, no reverb, nothing. So that was kind of disappointing and kind of cheesed me off a bit, considering, hey, the feature's here and it's kind of useless. That sucks. Okay, so that's something to be aware of, and that's going to apply to the majority of the mixers out there on the market up until a certain price point. Then those mixers at that ching level will do anything and everything you could imagine. Okay, but we don't need that kind of equipment in here, and we can't afford that kind of equipment, so we have ways around it and not having to break the bank, and this is how it's done. Mixing board, USB interface, and get yourself a good USB audio interface. I do highly recommend the Steinberg UR22 MK2. It is an awesome little machine. It also has its own headphone jack with its own variable out. It has a mixed DAW control. It has separate gains for each side. It has clipping meters to show if your mixer is pushing too much into it. Also, you have speaker outputs at the back, so you could go monitor outs right from that box and have a set of monitors right beside you, and not even have to have those monitors hooked into this, and you have a separate volume control for the monitors too. So there's a lot of features, including MIDI interface as well. If you need MIDI access, the MIDI interface is built into that box too, among other gizmos. And that box was only 200 bucks Canadian, so of course much cheaper in the US. Dollar differences, you know. But anyways, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Ciao.